got to record it. All right, you guys, we actually got another donor. We got another donor.
Sarah's a hardworking mama.
This is from an anonymous donor. We brought in $500 in this last hour. So praise God for that.
Thank
and
you.
I want you all to know that as we are about to wrap this up in this last hour, we've got Kiki and Justina coming on. Let me raise my, there we go. I just wanted to thank you all for coming and being here. But before we go, I have one last item to auction off. This item is very near and dear to my heart because we have been using this item since then. I've transitioned both of my boys into homeschooling. Well, actually not my little 5-year-old, but he's at a really good school. But my 16-year-old has become a homeschooler. And I used to use this a lot for him and teaching him. But then it also became instrumental because it's where I started doing my storyboarding. And I'm going to show you what that looked like. But before I used it, I just want to let you know that this is something that let's see how I worded it. This is an ASN must-have teaching prop, okay? So anybody who's leading seminars, coaches out there, all you guys, I want you to feast your eyes on this because it is an essential ASN teaching prop. It's what David started with. It's what somehow has, continued to go at every seminar that I've seen. I think we're starting to update that technology, but it is in fact, get ready, the whiteboard. The whiteboard is the ASN must-have teaching tool at any seminar that you have. And guess what, you guys? Not only that, but it was the one that David Straight actually used when he came to Albuquerque. So it was christened in 2020 in the fall, October, around Balloon Fiesta. David Straight actually used this board. So we're auctioning it off. $300 plus shipping. I have no idea what it's going to cost to ship. So you have to also pay for shipping. But I want to show you the feature. Not only can you write on it like this, but then you can flip it. And this is what our storyboarding looked like. This is how much I am not an artist. It's upside down.
I'm going to pin you. Hang on one second. It's hard.
Definitely. Yeah. And I cannot take the time to move this and put it.
There you go. Oh, that's hilarious. And it's upside down.
It's upside down, but you get the picture. This is scene 1 of Sam in the water. Okay, I'll post this. You know what I'll do? I'll take a photo of it right side up and then I'll post it.
Oh yeah, you got to do that. That's hilarious.
Okay, so here's Sam on the boat and it's in order of shooting. Okay, if you guys want to know the production process, we definitely do not shoot out. We always shoot out of sequence. So he's in the water. He's getting into the boat here. Then we come over here to scene 3. We got the birth certificate because we are going to have the drone out. Anyways, it is the step-by-step shot selection of Sam and what he did while we were filming. So I would probably not believe that this would last if this were actually shipped to you. I could maybe leave it on for you, but most likely it will maybe have erased. Anyways, that is our last item for auction. You know you want it. I'm so happy to say that we got that donation in, and I am ready to move on to our next guest, and that is the beautiful Kiki. Thank you so much, Kiki, for coming. And you were here earlier, and I just wanted to keep going and asking you questions, but I'm so glad you're here to join us now. Now, where did you go? I just saw you. You were here. There she is. There you are, hon. Oh my gosh, Kiki, you were another one of those where Bobby's like, you got to interview Kiki. You got to get Kiki on this. And I'm like, who's Kiki? And I remember you at 1776, because I was running all over the place and I didn't get time to listen to anybody's seminar. But after I got off the stage and I had showcased some of my work, you grabbed my hand. You said, that was really good. I can't wait to see some of this stuff, And I was like, oh, this is going to be so awesome. Who would have known that you were actually going to be featured in this film? And
yeah.
Oh my gosh, girl, your wealth of knowledge has been so instrumental. And I also keep going through and being like, Kiki said this is amazing. It's got to get in here, and figuring out where to put it because it's such a different aspect to this whole thing. And you could go really deep, really fast. And we can't do that in this film. But what it is it's like a tease. It's like here's a little taste of what is to come. And Lisa, Yeah, Lisa and I will talk about at the end where this film is going to go, because it's, there's some exciting news. But I was so grateful to have you. So, Kiki, tell me first, because I know you didn't do the David and Bobby process, but
Yeah.
how in the world did you even come to find out about all of this?
Okay, so so I touched on it briefly. Long story short is that my ex-husband, they came looking for him. He had gotten into some trouble and they came looking for him. And they were, first of all, I lived in a different state that they came to, and they were local municipal city police. And I was like, that's weird. Aren't you guys supposed to be fed? But whatever. And, and the criminal stuff began right away. And so they were basically like, hey, we're looking for him. He's worth $1 million. And they kept saying it. And one thing that I knew is 3 times the charm. And the third time they said it, I was like, wait a minute, I thought this was a crime. How is it $1 million? And so it just started to bloom and turn into this whole adventure. Like, well, why would you be looking for someone who committed a crime if it's worth $1 million? That's a lot of money. And at the time I had a toddler and a newborn, and I was like, hey, you want him and $1 million and to leave me with nothing, and that's not going to work. So I started going after them. And what I found is very few people will stop in the middle of charging, and be able to switch gears and hear and listen. And I found myself in that situation, and I said, you know what, this is a unique opportunity. Let me at least just listen to what's being said. And they saw that and they said, okay, well, you're we know your situation is intense, but you seem to be teachable, so let's start teaching you. And that's what they did. And they taught me how to use the authenticated certificate. And the authenticated certificate is one tool that you would need to go get a court order for your name to become the beneficiary of this massive trust. And along with that, I learned that this entire game that we're in, they have taken the actual Bible, the 1611 uncopywritten version of the King James Bible, and they duplicated this, and they cut, copy, and pasted the book, and they turned it into this game, and they put us all in it. And so each of these officials is playing one of these positions, these powerful positions in this book. And I found myself in the middle of this crazy biblical game, and the rules were actually inside the Bible. So I said, okay, well, if we're going to play, we're going to play it. And I started playing it, and they started teaching me, and it turned into this whole big thing. And that's kind of where my adventure started with it.
I love that story. And I know that there's more to it, but I know you always have to give us the Cliff Notes version, but like, it's something that, a hardship that we find ourselves in many times leads us to such a beautiful experience in the end. An enrichment intellectually. I mean, it gave you back your rights and your freedoms. So how has your life changed? It's kind of a question that I didn't ask you, but it's something that I'm just interested in knowing. Since doing this process, how has that changed your life? What has been, some of the outcomes?
Oh man. I have learned a few things. I have learned that everyone kind of knows that we are in this spiritual battle. And we are dead smack in the middle of spiritual warfare. Everyone kind of knows it and they feel it. Whether they want to admit it or not is another story. And so I've learned that never to shortchange myself, never to filter the truth from here to here. I mean, you can kind of rearrange how it comes out, but never filter this. By the time it gets to this, most of the time it's a lie, and so don't do that. We're just gonna not do that. And and everything that you want is on the other side of fear. Everything that you're looking for is on the complete opposing side of your worst possible nightmare. And your worst possible nightmare actually doesn't have to occur. It's a concept, it's an idea. but it's your idea. Everyone has a different fear, whatever that fear is, and those fears don't have to come to fruition. Faith is the main thing that keeps you from manifesting that big nightmare. And I've watched people manifest their own nightmares and say, I knew this was going to happen, you know, versus just kind of having blind faith and going with it and trusting in heavenly, we'll say heavenly forces unseen, and knowing that you'll be brought out to the other side with what it is that you're designed to have. That's those are the biggest lessons that I've learned. That's how my life has changed. Being on the opposing side, the completely flip side of this spiritual plantation that we're locked into, is a huge, it's just such a huge, it's a huge difference. It has its own sorrows watching it from the other side of the fence, but it has its own gifts as well. So I've learned quite a bit. It's changed my life completely.
You actually have to look at this thing through spiritual eyes to see this, to decipher it, because there's such a spiritual battle going on, waging war all the time around us. Half the times when we're walking right through it, we don't realize what it actually is that we're going through. You have that ability to see, you know, the true good, the true evil. We might perceive something as evil when it's actually could be good, you know. And I know that you have this take, for instance, with the IRS. To me, they're evil. To you, you like, no, you use them to be the good ambassador for you. You just have to know how to do it.
Yeah, I'll say this, in this structure that we're in, if I can take a couple minutes just to kind of break it down and give folks some new They Live glasses with rhinestones on it, right? So the public world is only there because you don't have your own name. That is the only reason why it's there. And because you don't have your own name, that you have not established your own name on any record, book of life, so to speak, because there is such a book, it does exist. And you have a page of it. And those certificated documents are simply the missing page in that book with your name on it, and everyone has that page. So while you are in possession of that page, but without a decree showing that you're the beneficiary of what the page represents, which is a trust, then you need some type of name to utilize while you're here in this arena playing this game. And so what happens is we fill out an application, and an application is a petition. And if you're filing a petition, that means that you're going to a court. So anywhere where you file an application, guess what? It's considered a court. So if you're filing an application for a driver's license, and the DMV is your court, and they have their rules and their user agreements, okay? And because they use so many different words to mask and twist, the word use is equivalent to trust. These are all trusts. It's all trusts all day, every day. And so because you haven't established your own name, you need to go somewhere and borrow someone else's. The problem with that is that everywhere you go to borrow a name because you don't have your own is a criminal jurisdiction. So you're actually committing a crime going to use someone else's name other than your own. And that's actually in federal law. You're not supposed to use any other name other than your proper name. So long story short, you have lenders everywhere. They're willing to lend you a hand. They're willing to lend you a fictitious name, also known as false prophets. And these are accounts that you are signing off on, with you're acting as a trustee, and you're giving the benefit to someone else to benefit from these signatures. The solution to that is go get your own, establish your own trust with your own laws, and put your own laws into effect. And I promise you, when this is done, your whole life will change. You'll be under your own private self-governance, and you can move everything in this world to your will.
That's amazing. What's going to be interesting is trying to put all that into a film type style, and I'm going to rely heavily on you when we get to that episode, because I know
Yeah.
that there's going to be an episode completely dedicated to that, because like you said, it's where you start. This is where you start, and we're committing a criminal activity by using our all caps name because we don't have the proper name right now.
Right.
It's just, it blows my mind the more that I discover. So I just wanted to ask you what you think, the hopes of this film is going to be for those who watch it. What do you hope is going to be
Oh
the
man. I will say this. The introduction in 1776 blew my mind completely.
awesome?
It was so well put together. One of the first speakers of this side of the game was Jordan Maxwell.
Yes.
And so hearing that and seeing that, I was like, oh my God, this is great. This is spectacular. And I had followed a lot of his instructions and a lot of I've seen almost everything that he has released into the wild, so to speak. So seeing that come full circle was absolutely amazing. So a lot of people are aware of him. A lot of people are aware of his teaching, and watching you sort of grab a hold of this and turn it into this expansive film and sending it out into the ethers, into the eyes of the people, in the minds and the ears of the people, is like a phenomenal feat. And I'm hoping that this is something that people can take and give to someone. Instead of trying to explain it, they can say, here, watch this. This is, yes, I had Lisa, she's just like, yes, yes. Instead of saying, oh, you're crazy, this, that, you know what, why don't you just watch this film here? And so this is a great introduction to folks who they know something's wrong. They know something's going on. Everyone knows there's something going on with the birth certificate. And you sort of tie it all together, put it into a ball, and just boom, release it to the people. And I'm, praying that this turns into just this huge, giant index of a bigger instruction manual on how people can be released from these chains that they're stuck in, whether they realize it or not, they're stuck in.
I so love how your brain works. You brought something up that nobody else brought up. And Sarah, I want to take a little bit of what Kiki just said, how you did the trailer or the teaser, Jordan's voice and what he says, and how you saw the vision and created your movie flyer. There's so much on there that is so smart. Like the name of, if you want to show that, I don't know, this is unscripted right now.
Totally show it.
Which one? What am I, the
The
name of what?
movie, the trailer poster, which is one of your like
thing
what's
with
behind
auction?
you.
Which,
The
by
auction
the
piece.
way, yeah, that is actually, we have a bid on it. It's up to 100 now, but yeah, I can.
But I want you guys to see again, it's partially divine. This woman has never created a movie poster before, okay?
Never.
All right. We're on Zoom one night, or I don't know, we're texting or whatever. I'm like, she's like, I've never done this. Do you think we should hire someone? Do you think I should do it? I'm like, Sarah, just go for it. And she creates this.
I was gonna have.
Hold on, let me put a pin on it. Hold on. This
sorry.
was unbelievable. She pulls this out. You can't really read what it says, but tell everybody how this came to that ship and everything that happened with that.
I was gonna ask
Chris if I can find it on.
He was very busy, but basically everybody who knows this movement, we understand what's going on. Sorry, we comprehend what's going on. We're in water. There's a cargo ship. If you look at the name of the cargo, it's called Admiralty Cargo Company. You're going from one land, which is the free land of the sovereigns.
I'm going to share my screen, Sarah. Hang on, honey. I'm going to share it so that people can see it. It's not clear. Okay, can you guys see that?
There you go.
Yeah.
So look at this. Okay, first of all, sorry to cut you off, but first of all, BirthRight. What a name. Okay, what a name. And then born free, live free. Okay, tagline could not be better. Okay, now I'm going to let you talk about
Yeah,
bits and
so
pieces.
you have your peace flag on one side of the island and the boat is moving away from it into the corporate jurisdiction. And of course, what's lost at sea is the cargo that's been thrown overboard off of the ship. So this is people that I show this to, they're like, it looks interesting. I have no idea what this is about, but this looks interesting. And we all know because we've been in this for so long. So yeah, I mean, that's great.
And look at the name. Tell them about the name on the cargo ship.
Just the Admiralty Cargo Company. Yeah.
I mean, she didn't put that in post. Like, talk about miracles, right? I can't get over that you pulled
Wait, the
this out.
ship already had it on there?
I added it. I added it to I just went and I cut out, I don't know how to use Illustrator or Photoshop. And I just cut out things and I did a quick little tutorial. I was like, hell, this looks pretty good, I guess, you know? And I'm like, people were like, maybe you should do this. I'm like, I'm not changing it. I can't change it. I don't even know if I'd be able to like go back to what I had. But yeah, I mean, it was just another God ordained thing. That's like 2 layers of water. I had to mask out one to get that ripple so that it looked like we were looking under, because you have to go from top to bottom. You have to go from the top, the plane of the water to underneath. So you had to have that almost like you've got water on a piece of glass and what that transition looks like. So there's many layers of water in there. But
and do you want to read the synopsis?
Yeah, the synopsis is basically, it's a promising new movement, which is what we are, right? We're a promising movement that's spreading worldwide. It's awoken the masses to the fraud and the corruption of our past and the unknowing delivery of our children into the commercial hands of the states, all caps Inc. And I actually changed the children back to the people, the delivery of the people into the commercial hands, because I didn't want people to think that this was a pro-life, pro-choice, you know, because that could go that way. Especially when you're talking about children. So why is our birth certificate issued on bond paper? What are the red numbers on the back of the Social Security card and where do they link to? What really happened when the United States for America became incorporated, all while under the sleeping masses and without the consent of we the people? What must we do to rescue the cargo that has been thrown overboard and is lost at sea? And just what is that cargo? Follow us on this journey while we uncover the deceptions and watery secrets that have been hidden deep below the water surface for centuries. So, I mean, this is going to be a multiple series, right? And this is where we start with just the awakening. It's like a David level 1, you know, seminar. But then Kiki, we're going to do, and this is some exciting news, we're going to keep making episodes out of this. And this is going to become episodic. And we're going to do one on just the name as much as we can. That's in the public, that's allowed to be in the public. And so I'm going to come to you looking for a lot of direction on that and how to structure that, because you have the knowledge there and you know the delicacy of it, of what we can say and what we can't, but we have to let people know what their remedy is. And we think, you know, at the beginning of this, I thought, oh, the AOR is the remedy. No, you know, it's just a grievance that we're just, you know, hoping that our civil servants read, but it doesn't do anything for us. We've got to have the knowledge. We have to have the standing. So Kiki, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years and those that you are, you know, actually teaching? What's your hope there?
You know, I'll tell you what, I intended to kind of just sit on a beach and mind my business. Kind of here now. But I decided, you know, after a while of just kind of watching things go into a specific direction that doesn't benefit the people, I tend to pop up again. And so just to kind of try to place perspective back down and then let people run with it. So usually I will just kind of disappear off in the shadows and go do my thing until a bat signal pops up. So where I'm at right now is trying to make sure that there is enough information, that the information is accurate, that the people are able to retain the information and then able to perform the information, because there are some people, I look at it in phases, okay? You have the initial wake up moment where you kind of know something's going on, you don't kind of know where to go, you don't know what to do. and then you start to find like minds, and then you have this really peculiar phase that I call it, this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. And so a lot of people get locked into, this is what they're doing, this is what they're doing, this is what they're doing, this is what they're doing. And then people don't move out of this is what they stay locked into this is what they're doing. And so after a certain point, you have to start looking for solutions as to how do we fix what they're doing. And this, I think, is where people get tangled up, because they say, you know what, we need a solution, and I have ideas. And the ideas are provided as solutions, but they're simply ideas and concepts that haven't necessarily, not only have they not been proven, but they're inaccurate because of the lack of knowledge and the encryption that's that the solutions are sort of bubble wrapped around, okay? Because there's encryption there. So people get caught in that. Once you get past that, now you have to get past the encryption. And I'm going to say this, the Bible says, come let us go down and confound their language so they may not understand one another's speech. And this is where your definitions and your dictionaries start coming into play. There's Oxford dictionaries that have definitions that come out of the year 825 and moving forward. And so the words that you think have a specific definition, they absolutely do not. And you're being tricked with encrypted instructions. So having said all of that, where do I find myself in 5 to 10 years from now? That depends on how much information that the people have absorbed and the momentum that they can gain enough to unlock themselves. Okay. I'll be sitting on a beach if you guys can unlock yourselves quickly. But I want to say this, and I have to be so careful, because so I always end up in this really bizarre situation where if someone has their paperwork with them, I end up like with a flat tire in a middle of nowhere town, and the court is right down the street. I'm like, let's go get your redemption. Like, I end up in these weird side missions to go and redeem someone's stuff every time. And so we're in this unique one, and this is recent, and so the person has they have all of their information, and they have a name change from when they were like 3 years old. And the name changes on birth certificate paper. And I'm looking at them like, you know what I mean? Like, we got this flat tire because of you. You know what I mean? And now we have to go redeem you, you know? So we go in there, and so I start reading the statutes, and we read the statutes, and we start following the instructions. And so we go in to see the clerk to finalize everything. This is like in 2 days. And we walk in, and the clerk actually comes around and gets us. And she says, come on, because she knows what we're there for. Now, she hasn't been at work for like 2 weeks, because for what, right?
Right.
So she hears we're there. So she shows up. She's like, come on. So we're walking through the office, and she's like, that's criminal. That's civil. Come in my office. And I was like, oh, this is equity. So now it's she and I. She goes, let me call the judge. Here come and when I tell you, this guy's in a crispy, clean, you know, suit, like he knew we were coming too. You know what I mean? And so he's looking at the papers, and he goes, I'll give you full faith and credit for this. I'll give you full faith and credit for that. It's clear you're the beneficiary here. And he just bah, 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 bah. And I'm like, look at this. Look at this. So we're sitting in chancellor's chambers without a petition, without filing anything, without any public activity, nothing. We're just right there to redeem this this bond. And she basically was like, you're missing something. She told us what we were missing. And so these are the kinds of things that happen in my life. When I leave the house, these are the things that happen. So it's there. It's available. It is requested and required. They're looking for you guys. They're looking for you. Okay. And the element of fear needs to be taken out of the whole thing. If you take the element of fear out, you have nothing but faith left. These people go to work. Their job when they go to work is to look for the beneficiaries. That's their job, you know? And the reason why they're coming after you is because you filed an application on the criminal side to use a criminal mortgage. You have to pay them rent for their stuff that you're using. You're a borrower. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's there. All of your stuff is there. The fiduciaries are there. There is, it does have its pitfalls if you fail to provide the adequate consideration after showing up with it. And that's another story. We won't focus on that, but when you are ready to complete your journey and to return your documents and to actually go claim your birthright, it's there and they're looking for you. It's there, I promise.
That's exciting and amazing. And I love that you offer, Kiki, I've had a couple people in the chat ask, does she have her own Telegram channel? How do we get in touch with her? Where can we follow her? So I can post that here in the chat if you want to share that. And then I'd like to open up the room to some Q&As before we get to our sweet Justina here. So
Yeah.
where can people find you?
The best way to find me is through my website, and it's www.becomethemost.com. It's BECOME, become the most, because I like glitter and all that, the absolute most. And when you hit email us, there's 3 emails it goes to automatically. It goes to myself, it goes to Ruby, and it goes to the main one. And we have courses. We just finished the trust enforcement course. There's another one coming up. But for the most part, that's how you can get me. I'm always floating around somewhere. I'm in Bobby's groups, David's groups.
Where are you most active in Bobby's chat? Is it his chat or his channel that you're most active?
In his cell phone, texting him.
Oh.
You know. You know, but email is the best way to get me because it pings my phone. And yeah, that's the best way to take.
So they find your email through going to your website.
Yeah, it goes right to my email. It goes right directly to the email. And then we have oh gosh, I'm not gonna get into that. We have like private events. I don't really do public events. For those of you who signed up for Tennessee, I think you guys kind of figured that one out. I don't do live stream at all. I'm not supposed to, so I can't. But I'm around, and so yeah, so I'm around. You guys, you can find me. Ruby's better if you Ruby's my assistant. If you find Ruby, you'll find me.
Everybody needs a Ruby. I tell you, she's so great.
She's great.
And I love your
I have
stories.
a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kiki and I have tried to get together so many times, and she's so busy, I'm so busy, and we have not been able to do this. And we've invited Kiki to the study guide. And to the extent that you can speak now regarding evidence, that is what I'm asked all the time. What evidence is there that what Kiki is training and what Bobby's training, where's the evidence? How do we know that we should be committing ourselves, our time, our treasure, however you want to put it?
Yeah.
Why? Where's the evidence? Because let's be honest. We've done a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. A lot of us have done a lot of these processes. And then we find as time moves on, things change. Processes change. You and Bobby said that. We have to be careful. We have to keep this in the private, because we can't like give our hand away because it'll change. We got to stay ahead of the game. So I was actually kind of shocked when Bobby put in his public channel in Telegram that the name change was a thing to do. I'm like, why is he going public to tell people this? So our people are always looking for evidence, and our people at this point are really smart. They don't want to do any more processes that we're going to come back and go, you really didn't need to do that because we figured this out or we figured that out. So not putting you on the spot to the extent.
Put me on the spot, girl. I got something for it.
Well, I'm just saying, to the extent that you're comfortable sharing that, that's the question we're going to get.
Okay, so we can talk about, let's start with their definition of evidence, okay? I'm not gonna say everyone, but the majority of the people who have done processes, regardless if it's your process, my process, their process, his, hers, he, she, it, we, they, the common denominator for the most part is the birth certificate, right? Can we mute that?
Yep, I just caught it.
Okay, so there's a seal on those documents, and a seal is considered certified evidence. And so in some of the processes, you have these documents and everyone goes out and gets this authenticated record. They don't know why. They just know they went out and did it. So at the bottom left of the federal cover are rules of evidence. Okay, so there's that. And then of course, when you go in there in the court, let's say for instance, you go into the name change office and you say, here, I have this document. That is considered a deed poll. Okay. And a deed poll is for change of name. So if some of you, I know there's some research geniuses sitting around in this group. Yeah. If you go to Wikipedia and you type in deed poll, DEEDPOLL, it's going to talk about changing your name. What's the other one that folks like to talk about? Trading with the Enemy Act talks about changing your name. Okay. So there's but they don't tell you how to change it or what to change it to. And you have to change it from Social Security all cap, which is the gravestone, which allows for administration. And administration, the prerequisite for administration is death. Okay. And if you don't have those pieces of information, I'll get them to you. So there's your evidence of death. Now, you want to come back into full life, you have to get your name changed. When you get a court order, that's an order. That's another piece of evidence, right? This is not a Q&A, so I'll say it like this. Folks who have had a court order held against them, it's like the worst possible thing, okay? Now you have this court order against you, like, oh, well, what happens after you get a court order against you? They execute against you, right? Now, for those of you who have had a court order against you, you've had property taken, you've had foreclosure, you've had your children, whatever it is, go back and look at that paperwork and tell me if your name's on it. Okay, it's not. Now, let's talk about this. If you have a court order that actually has your name on it, the same rules apply. Now you have a court order against someone else. If they don't follow the letter of the law on that court order, guess what? Held in contempt, just like you would be. Now you can go in for execution. You can have your name executed and have all the property transferred over to you the same way that they would go in and take your house. It's just a flip side. So I say it like this: when you're dealing with your name, right? Thou shalt not forsake my name. Bible talks about a good name is better than silver and gold. So if your name is on something, it means it's yours. They taught you that in school. Put your name at the top of your paper. They even taught you how to write your name in upper, lower, first, middle, last. So we can go through history and talk about how it's evidence and how it's slowly being changed and how you're signing off on names that are not yours, signing off on IDs that has your face on it, but sticking your face to another name. And finally going back to, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. God is, deeds and so on and so forth. And at the end of it, you still have these seals with your name is on it, which makes it enforceable in your favor. Why would you not want to enforce anything that's on your name becomes yours? It's like having the Midas touch, right? And that's what it's for. To go and get what is yours, everything that is yours, all of these investments that is yours, because they would do the same exact thing to you by loaning you a name. However many people that have been in foreclosure, here comes the lender calling you the borrower, saying that you not only have their property, but you didn't pay them. It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing, just reversed.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
I comprehend, and that was a great clarification of all the evidence of us being dead.
Oh, you're fine.
And then all of the process around, you know, going and walking into Admiralty alive, right? And getting a court order and a decree. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice.
It's okay.
The evidence of this process working to then go and access one's whatever they want to do, the goal,
Yeah.
the whatever. What about the evidence of going through the process and then evincing ourselves in a court of equity, chancellery in chambers?
Okay, so this is where faith comes in. Because I just finished telling you a story of me and someone else kind of being tangled up in the middle of nowhere and walking into a court, and the clerk says, this is criminal, this is civil. We walk into her office, she calls the judge, and we're all in this room. There's no evidence of that, only the story that I just told you and the person who it happened to, right? When you're dealing with equitable principles, you're dealing with faith, okay? So you have the evidence and documentation showing that you are a beneficiary of this trust. And I think everyone kind of knows that they are for the most part. But going in there and executing is a whole different story. Now, those of you who choose to do on the public side, you'll have evidence that there's a docket number. You'll have evidence of a petition for a while until it's executed and then it's gone, right? So here's a perfect example of equity operating. Our friend David, he was taken earlier this year and he was released. Now we saw videos of him coming out. We saw articles showing what happened, but there was no docket number, right? Just the receipt that he had showing that he was released. That's all he had. But the faith that his bubble of protection was still there was there, right? So at some point, faith has to be turned on. I was in a situation where I was brought into an equity court in a federal court with a chief judge of the state with no docket number, without paying, okay, which is in the Constitution. You have right for redress of injury done to your person without denial, without delay, and without payment. And that's there. And we know that because we have a girl who's in one of the groups, and she has her name decree, but she did it exactly using the Constitution. So at some point, all of the documents that you have, the seals, will have evidence of it up until a certain point where all of that disappears and faith turns on. Faith without deeds is dead. And so your evidence will be you going in there and executing. Your evidence will be your ability to navigate the system without a problem, not have your car towed, not have your home taken. These are the things that will start to occur, also known as acts of gods or miracles, and they're there. And when you start going through this actual process, you'll know that. And I'm telling you, because when I left that event, I engaged with a lot of people who had evidence that they were having hardship. The evidence was there. But the solution, when the solution was applied, the only evidence was that they were no longer experiencing hardship, if that makes any sense. So it's definitely there.
Thank you for that. I appreciate you.
I find myself in the same situation, Kiki. A lot of times there will be certain things that are said either in the research that I'm doing, or like in the information that somebody who I was interviewing would say. So I'd be like going to research, and it's like, and then I would ask Tia or Bobby, and they'd be like, oh, they won't tell you that, you know? And so there's some things that you just will not be able to say. And this is what I'm dealing with my scriptwriter. You guys may not all know, but the scriptwriter that I hired is somebody who is not involved in this movement, because I need some fresh eyes and I need some challenging correspondence that's going to come from the general public, and I have to show the proof and back up the claims. And sometimes there is just no proof. It's just like asking somebody who was at January 6th what happened and asking somebody who wasn't at January 6th what happened, and you're going to have totally two different stories. You know, you ask somebody who's in Israel right now what's happening, you ask somebody in Palestine what's happening, two different stories, right? Some things you just live it and you just experience it. And there
Right.
isn't a book note or anything that you can Google and actually find, because whoever's writing those books, they have a bias, right? Whatever's being reported in these videos that we watch and in the news that we see, they have a bias. So sometimes, like, as you're saying, Kiki, it's just all about faith. And when you hear a testimony of somebody having gone through this and seeing what happens, I'm a believer now, because I trust this person and I've seen the change that has happened in their lives and
Yeah.
how that's solved for them. So
It is. I'll say this, silence is golden. So we've had some really wild experiences where we use different methods depending on the situation. So we use this one specific method, and we pulled a fiduciary in, and in this, I don't know if I should say who it is, but he was a chief law office of the state, if you know what I'm talking about. So we pulled him in and we just created a private agreement with them. And they came into the case. They wiped out one of the cases, completely erased the other one from the record, flipped the other one over, and had them dismiss another one that they were coming against the guy that you're doing this for. And then they sent the paperwork back. We don't know what you're talking about. We can't help you. Have a nice day. Okay. So those are the types of things that happen when you get these combinations locks right. Silence is golden. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So this is from a book, Executors and Administrators. And just really quickly, it's Corpus Juris Secundum. If you need it, Elise has it. She's got this giant library filled with so many goodies. And so for this specific piece, it says, the death of the person on whose estate administration is sought is a jurisdictional requisite. In other words, if someone is looking to administer your estate, which is just a group of your rights and liabilities, you have to be dead first, okay? How many of you have walked into this office? You need to go down to the administrative office and talk to them. Okay, everyone's pushed off to the administrative office, but they don't know why. Why? Because you're dead in their system, right? So it says, while the presumption of death arising from an absence may present a prima facie case sufficient to warrant a grant of administration. So in other words, if your name is not in this book, if your record cannot be located, because remember, they just deal with seals and records, then they have to say that you're dead. It says, if it subsequently develops that such a person is in fact alive, administration is void. Well, who's the biggest administration organization that we know of? Social Security Administration.
Yeah.
Right? So Social Security is the one who's basically saying that there's a presumption of death. And they have a manual, and in their manual it says, hey, we did it. We said you're dead. And the only way to prove that you can't be dead anymore, come back with a court order and we'll talk about it moving forward. Until then, sorry, you're under administration. Now it says, it is absolutely essential to the jurisdiction of the administration of an estate that the person on whose estate such administration is granted is dead. A living person has no estate subject to probate, and there is no vested right of an inheritance in the estate of a living person. Any administration on the estate of a living person is void. This sounds a lot like the Setwiko v. Trust Act, doesn't it? 1666. Well, guess what? Social Security is now running the Setwiko v. Act of 1666. It's them.
Wow.
So there's evidence of death all over the place. And they tell you how to undo the presumption. You have to show up with a court order. That's what they said. An affidavit of living man and women is not going to cut it. I see it all the time, and I appreciate the efforts, but that's not what they're looking for. A court order has force and effect of law. So each constitution flat out says, hey, if you don't like your government, you can change it. You can change your government. Well, your names are governing. They're part of a contract. Change your contract, change your life, and that's the end of it.
Wow. Awesome. I mean, that's so much. I love that. I need to rewatch that. I know that we probably have a million questions and now we're kind of out of time for that. But I know if you guys want to get in touch with Kiki or want to ask her questions, you know, one-on-one, you should go to her website, which is becomethemost.com, and you can ask your questions there. My mind is just always blown by you, Kiki. I can't wait till the next seminar so that I can do that and we can get some more of this info down on film. But you're amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. Really
my pleasure.
appreciate it. And all that you're doing for everybody in this movement. So
absolutely. And I just have one more suggestion for the donation. If you could put a PayPal link in there, that would be awesome.
Oh, PayPal. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've got Cash App and Zelle, so I'll put my PayPal in there. It won't be to Abandoned Ship Films, which is kind of the structure that's overseeing this, but it'll be to my Luminance. So I will do that. And yeah, thank you for that. And you know, somebody did donate through Cash App, so I can do that. I hate to use like my personal stuff because I don't want people to think that this money is coming directly to me because it's coming to the film, but you guys have heard me say this. I can certainly do that for people who'd rather give by those means. So
well, if you can shoot me your Cash App, I would love to throw something in there. And then also I wanted to add to the auction, you can auction off my jacket, my StarLit jacket if you want.
Oh my gosh, girl.
Yeah.
What did we set that at? What you tell me what we set that at?
Whatever you want, whatever you want is okay with me. It says StarLit on it. I'm huge into stars, and so it's StarLit. It's my actual jacket, and 77 is the year I was born. So yeah, I'm let me know however you want to do it. You can auction it off.
Dude, look, we already got somebody, and I was gonna say let's start it at 300, and somebody just said 300 bid for jacket. Somebody else is asking for prize. We got 300 going once. Listen, we got 10 minutes, so you guys can keep the bids going. Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Kiki. That was so sweet of you.
Kiki, what's the size of the jacket?
It's extra large.
Okay.
And I'll even put some perfume on it. How's that?
You're
A
hilarious.
jacket. You want a jacket?
Some man's asking for his wife. He's gonna get it for his wife. I love it. Who is that? Kimosabe. Hey, so is it for winter? Is it for rain, fall, summer? What's the weight of it? Is it lightweight?
It's kind of like a varsity type. Well, I can tell you
how
what it's made of. Hang on, let's see.
Oh, it
is. Let's see. It is. It's extra large.
Yep. It's good for sweaters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a varsity type jacket.
It's a total varsity jacket.
We probably wouldn't go snow skiing in it, but it's going to be great to go out on a walk in the park in the fall and maybe even in the winter.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, listen.
I don't know how to get.
That's Mike. I love Zoom. That's Mike. Mike, you know your wife wants this. You just got to get it for her. So we got the jacket starting at 300. It's the extra large size for those that wanted to know, all weather jacket. I do want to say that we had the BirthRight poster bid jump up to 200. So we got a bid for 200 on the
And you're going to sign it.
I will sign it. Yes, it'll come autographed. Kiki, you should sign your jacket too. I mean,
wait, you know what? I will. I'll get like a gold marker or something. And I'll just, I don't know.
All right, I'm going to stop this recording and then we got to move to lovely Justina, who's been so patient.
I know, hon. Okay, thank you so much.
Government is the trustees for the benefit of the people, or are they?
They gave us a remedy. It's called the first 8 amendments.
Whole existence is tied to this name, and if you have no name,
We need to collaborate with individuals like this worldwide because this is how we're going to push back everybody that is trying to oppress us.
It's not that you have land because you pay for it. That's part of the process.
They really want to change the meaning of the United States just by simple wordplay.
Never seen Bobby and David on television. Would have never happened.